guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Chubbs. This is Chubbs Garage. I guess this is gonna be a little introduction to the channel. It's my first video. Today what we have lined up for you is lowering springs on a Mark 8 GTI owned by my buddy. Before we get started, I guess I will go ahead and show you the other cars we'll be working on. Yeah, let me flip around the camera and we will get started. All right, so excuse the garage, it's messy. Everyone says, "Oh, my garage is a mess." Yeah, I mean, I got shit everywhere. Little peek on something else we'll be working on. So this is my new car. It's a 2023 VB WRX in World Rally Blue. I got some goodies going on for that. We'll be working on that probably in one of the next videos. The other car we'll be working on is my 2014 LS swapped Hyundai Genesis. It's wrapped in gray, obviously. Some nice black AODON wheels, however you say it. Some carbon fiber goodies, stuff like that. Maybe working on the Power Stroke if I don't decide to sell it. I don't know, it needs a power steering pump. What else we have is we'll be working, maybe. My stepdad has a 2014 6.2 Camaro. It's tuned by, I think, GPD. It's got a custom grind camshaft, long tube headers, full exhaust, some fatties in the rear. So yeah, we'll be working on that kind of stuff. Really don't know what else to say. Luckily I'm blessed with a 2-post lift. I got a little welder set up, naturally next to gas, but don't worry, that all gets moved before I weld anything. A little air compressor right there. Gotta have the sodas. So yeah, once my buddy gets here with his Mark 8 GTI, we will get started on that. The only thing I've ever done before, lowering springs wise, is the Hyundai. Thank you, geese. That wasn't too hard, but from what I know, the Mark 8 GTI is trash when you have to do it. Not gonna do the 2x4 method because that's too sketchy, way too sketchy, even for me. What we might do is I have one of these, transmission jacks, exhaust holders, you can use it whatever you want to use it for. And on the all data for Volkswagen, they say you disconnect the axle from the hub, from the diff, undo all the other bolts, end link, all that stuff, drop the spindle arm, or whatever the hell it's called, and then you take that jack I just showed you with 2 wheel bolts. Put 2 wheel bolts right into the hub. You put that underneath the 2 wheel bolts and you start spinning it up so you compress the strut. And then what you do is you undo the 3 bolts on the top hat. Then you get your hub spreader and you spread the hub open, and then apparently it will just drop down. Doubt it. We're gonna give it a shot. If it works, cool. If not, we're just gonna take the whole hub and strut off in one piece, like everyone else does. So yeah, we'll catch back up then. All right, so we're here with the Mark 8 GTI. We're doing the lowering springs. Taking the wheel off. Your car should come with one of these. It's pretty neat. You just thread it in to one of the wheel bolts, and it allows you, if you don't have a friend around, to take the wheel off without it dropping on you. In theory, so we're gonna try it out. Jesus Christ. I guess it worked. Well, still a little sketchy. Probably did it wrong, but On the driver's side only, there's going to be a plastic shield on both sides, but on the driver's side only, there is a ride height sensor, and you take off the little plastic shield on the bottom. There's a 10mm bolt nut. You take that off, and then when you're done taking that off, right behind here, I don't know if you can see, but there is a wheel speed sensor. I can get it off. It's right here. There's a little tab. Get a screwdriver, and you just comes right off. After that, we are going to take off. There's a little bracket right here that holds the sensor and the brake light on. Brake light, or brake lines on, sorry. You take that off. And then you're just gonna leave that hang right here. Put this back in so you don't lose it. After that, I'm gonna take an end link bolt off. It may give you problems. If this one gives me a problem, I'll show you what to do. It's gonna be an 18mm. You can do everything with power tools. I have them, I just choose to use regular tools when it's a new car. You don't want to snap anything. So I break it loose like that. Alright, so we took off, great, my light just died. The end link bolt, I don't know if you can see if there's enough light. It's an 18mm, but what happens is there is sometimes the bolt gets, or the nut gets stuck on the threads, and the whole thing just spins inside the end link. If you can tell right here, it's a torque bit. I think it's going to be a T30 or a T27, I don't remember. So what you do is you put actually I have it right here. It's a T30. So what you do is you put the T30 in here, and what it does is it allows you to hold the thread, the stud, still while you put an 18mm box wrench on it. So you put tension on this, and then you can just slowly take off the nut. It's gonna take a while. It's literally gonna break your butt, but that's how you do it if you get stuck. After you take all that off, what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab yourself a 21mm socket, and you're gonna take the caliper off. Find my tools. I lose my tools like you wouldn't believe. So you can get in here with this. We are not going to. So it might be under pretty tight. Not too bad. There's going to be 2 washers that come off with it. Just trying not to lose anything. Like, a lot of this hardware is one-time use. That's your discretion if you want to reuse them or not. The only one we're going to replace is the axle bolt. There's one. Yeah, so the washers don't come off, so you're good. Okay, so once you get the caliper bolts off, it's good to have one of these caliper hangers. They're very, very cheap. I think I got 2 of them for like 15 bucks off Amazon. After that, you're gonna take off these. They are 3 16mm nuts, and this is your control arm. All right, and once that is off, next we are going to take off this. Forgot what that's called. Maybe it's that. It might be your pitman arm, if I'm not mistaken. Could be completely wrong. That's going to be a 21mm. We do have a special tool to get that off. Let me go get that real quick. All right, so then once you get that tool on there, it's going to be a 24mm socket. Get it started by hand, and then if your gun fits, I'm going to go ahead, pop that in there, and boom, pops right out. That way you don't mushroom the end of that, and you're good. All right, so for the axle nut, you can do it two ways. Some people go in and take the axle right out of the rear diff, or front diff, sorry. We don't have those bolts to replace, so we're gonna do it the way we saw in Humble Mechanics video. He takes this bolt off, then you go under the hood, you take the 3 bolts off the top hat, then you just take the whole hub assembly out. So we're gonna go ahead and remove this axle nut. All right, now if we can get in here and look, on his video, he states that what you can do is go ahead and push that out. You can see how I'm pushing it, and it's actually pushing the axle out of the back of the housing. That'll just help you get it off. So we're gonna lower the car, and we're gonna take the bolts off the top hat.
When you're done, you hit it again.
All right, so you're gonna remove the plastic piece here. You're gonna lift this up. You're gonna shove something right there. We got a water bottle. And then in here, there's gonna be 3 top hat bolts. They're 13mm. We're gonna go ahead and break this loose. And then if you look down, you have a friend that's gonna be holding the whole assembly because it may just drop out on you. So he's gonna hold that while I undo this last bolt. All right, so that bolt's out. And now what we're gonna do is he's gonna lift up. Maybe not. Maybe we're gonna try to. All right, so here's where it really started to give us problems. The hub assembly would not pull away from the axle. So what I ended up doing was getting on the back side of the rotor with a Deadblow hammer. For those of you that don't know, the Deadblow hammer is one of the ones that are plastic. It's filled with sand. So there's no metal on it where you would be making contact with the hammer and the rotor. It's just so you don't dent anything. I hit the rotor in an X pattern, and it started to move outwards from the axle. Once the assembly was out, we laid the assembly over an old tire and then used a spring compressor to compress the spring. Then we removed the top hat bolt with a 22mm socket and a cordless impact. Just make sure that the springs are compressed enough. You can make sure that they're compressed enough just by they'll wiggle. They'll be free. There's not going to be any tension on the top hat. The top hat bolt is a 22mm socket. Then we swapped out the springs in the bump stop. H&R included new bump stops, which was great. Then we reinstalled the top hat. Now here's where you say YOLO, or you get the special socket. I'll have it linked in the description. The socket is special because it has a cutout, so you can hold an Allen key in the cutout while you're tightening down that center top hat bolt so you can properly get the right torque on the top hat bolt. Also, what we forgot to do was we forgot to retorque everything. So my buddy left, and what ended up happening was he started getting a clunk. Just make sure you tighten everything. We ended up not torquing down the bottom bolt on the driver's side end link to 44 foot-pounds of torque. Once we tightened it, lowered it back down on the ground, clunking was gone. But yeah, so in the midst of it getting late, we also didn't record the rear spring swap. But I'll throw some pictures up that I did take with a little diagram and tell you what size the bolts are and everything is and all that. The rear is super easy. The rear literally took 15 minutes. I know I dropped the ball on my first video without recording everything. I'm sorry, but it happens. 2-hour job turns into 6 hours. But so the two bolts on this plastic cover are 10 millimeters. And then you will see a plastic clip. You can remove the flathead screwdriver. The clip is like the ones that are on a bumper. This plastic panel, like the front, covers the ride height sensor, which also, like the front, is only on the driver's side. Once this cover is removed, you'll expose the ride height sensor and these two T25 Torques. Remove them both and just hang the sensor out of the way. All right, so once the sensor is hanging out of the way, we're going to move to the control arm where we have 3 bolts that we need to remove. The sway bar and link bolt, which is in yellow, it's 13 millimeters on both sides. The bottom shock bolt, which is in red, is 18 millimeters. And the spindle bolt, which is in blue, that's also 18 millimeters. Now, in the very beginning of this video, I mentioned something about that long pole jack. This is where that will come in handy. Place it right under the control arm with a little bit of tension. Or if you're not using a lift and you're on jack stands, use the floor jack there. Because when you remove the bolts, the control arm will drop down pretty quickly. Once you remove all the nuts from the bolts, like the 13 millimeter one, the yellow one, the sway bar link bolt, if you're using power tools, put your socket with your power tool on the head of the bolt and put it in reverse, and it should just back itself all the way out. The spindle and the shock bolt, you can use that same Deadblow hammer, and you can just whack it out. That's just so you don't mushroom the tip with a regular hammer. Once you're done with that, simply just lower down your floor jack or your pole jack slowly, and the hub will come out of the spindle, and then you can grab your hands or use your hands and grab the control arm and pull down, and then the spring will come right back out. Put in the new spring, install in reverse. If the bolts are giving you a hard time lining up, what you can do is use a long screwdriver, kind of guide everything in. You can use the pole jack, and you can use the floor jack as well.